please welcome General Manager of the VMware Cloud Foundation Division, Krish Prasad.
I got what you need, baby, just come see me.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Good afternoon. By the way, VCF is the center stage for everything that is happening in this conference, as you saw in the main stage. And we got the most coveted slot right after lunch when all of you are going through your sugar low. So how many of you actually knew that this particular keynote was about VCF when you saw the title? It was actually a trick. We wanted to call it the 3 transformations, just to see if you will still figure out it's all about VCF. Did you know? Okay, good. So we have a jam-packed agenda today. You heard from Hawk and others in the morning about our VCF strategy. I would kind of sum it up as follows. If you are a customer who is on your journey to the cloud, you should consider VCF to be the new vSphere. Now, all the customers who are, when you heard about virtualization in the past, right, hey, I'm going to vSphere. It's the same thing. If you're going to the cloud, you're putting a cloud operating model in place, you should think of VCF just like you thought about vSphere in the past. Okay, and then we'll show you what we are doing on the VCF front in a second. Now this, you'll see in the rest of the presentation a lot of cool innovations that are coming in VCF 9. Paul Turner touched on some of it in the morning, but we are also going to be showing a lot of demos, unlike in the morning. So there is new stuff here. In addition, there is a very special guest that is going to join me on stage towards the end, and we have some key announcements to make around AI. And maybe more importantly, there is the VCF sneaker giveaway. And so I'm assuming that all of you got your tickets on the way in, but we also have some details on how to participate in the drawing towards the end of the presentation. So stay tuned. Okay, so a little bit about my background. I've been in VMware for around 10 years. And a large part of that time, I was running the vSphere product line. And so in Broadcom, I run the VCF division. And my team and I have one single mission, and that is to deliver the industry's best private cloud platform so that you can all deploy and get the private cloud going. Now, there was a lot of discussion. I was meeting actually with the press earlier today, and there was a question about, hey, are you not focused on the public clouds anymore, AWS and Azure and so on? So in the private cloud, the way we define it is about deploying a cloud with your private infrastructure. And the infrastructure could be on-prem, it could be at the edge, or hyperscalers, or with the service providers. But it is really about creating your own private cloud with our VCF platform, which is consistent across all these locations, which is different from what people traditionally think of as a hybrid cloud. The hybrid cloud typically is you have your own private cloud, and in most cases it is based on vSphere, and then you go to the public cloud, which is native, and it has its own operating model and so on. And so you see a lot of seams when you have a hybrid model combines native with private. In this case, your private infrastructure, consistent platform running on top, so you get the same experience irrespective of where you go. So that's how we define the private cloud. Now, why are we doing this? And you saw a couple of the slides that I'm going to show you in the morning, but the main reason is that customers are now taking a much more balanced approach in where they are locating their applications. Because the cost of the public clouds have skyrocketed. In every company, there is an initiative at the CFO level to really figure out why the heck are we spending so much money in the cloud. And so customers are taking a much more deliberate approach in where they locate their applications, and that's a combination of on-prem as well as in the public clouds. And so that is driving a lot of the repatriation back, as you can see in this IDC chart. In fact, we did a kind of a straw poll with customers in one of the executive meetings yesterday, and it was really around 75 to 80%, where they are bringing back their workloads from public cloud to on-prem. But again, it's not like public cloud is going away. It's much more of a balanced situation that you see out there. The second area is that customers over the past several years have been deploying their own cloud infrastructure by tying all the silos together and doing all the automation between the silos. And as you can see here with IDC, the TCO benefits as well as the operational efficiencies that you expected to get was not there. It did not materialize. And so what customers have been asking us is to deliver a cloud platform, not a set of products that customers have to integrate on your own, but a cloud platform that you can deploy on your private infrastructure, which, by the way, spans all the locations I talked about, but can give you an AWS-type cloud experience. So that's what customers have been asking us to do, and that's exactly what we are building with VCF. Now, truth be told, VMware was organized as silos ourselves, because our customers were dealing with silos and integrating silos. So the best way to support the customers was to organize ourselves as silos. And so we had all these product teams which are organized as business units, and we were merging all of that, and then we were integrating them into the VCF platform in the past. For building a platform, that is not the right organization. And so we really collapsed all the business units together into one division, and that's the division that I run, and it's called the VCF division, and you have compute, network, storage, management, all put together as one product team building one platform. And that's the biggest difference between what was before and what is now. And you'll see that we have a very special roadmap, and we are accelerating our innovation. And all the things that you are going to see today are as a result of that. And the second thing, so in addition to delivering the product with the unified organization, we are also focused on making it easy for you to deploy and be successful with your private cloud. And I'll talk about this towards the end of my presentation. So here is the platform. You saw this in the morning. Paul Turner talked about it. And you see the industry-leading compute, network, storage, integrated with built-in management, both automation and operations, delivering, and this is pretty unique, we are delivering VMs and containers, both orchestrated with Kubernetes. So at the top, you have a very modern IaaS surface orchestrated by Kubernetes. And then, of course, on top of the foundation, just like the AWS experience, you have a variety of advanced services that you can add on top of the private cloud, just like you get when you go to the public cloud. Now, to enable, again, I talked about the same platform running on-prem and in the hyperscalers and so on. That gives you workload portability, because you can just move. It's the same platform. You can move it around. But to enable you to do that on the commercial side, we enabled license portability. So now you can take your workload and your VCF license, and you can take it to AWS or to Azure, or you can take it from AWS and bring it back. So full license portability, your license moves with your workload. Now, today we made a big announcement this morning, which is the launch of VCF9. So think of it as the next generation of VCF. Okay, and so all the things that you're going to hear about today is centered around VCF9. So don't you want to see VCF9 in action? And to do that, we are going to have Anu Kirpekar, who is the head of engineering for the VCF platform, and William Lam, who is the senior staff solution architect. They are both going to join forces, and they are going to walk you through all the innovations and show you some exciting demos. So with that, I'm going to invite Anu and William to the stage.
VMware Cloud Foundation is transforming your experience.
Hey, William.
Easily update your environment with fleet-wide access to releases, sign-on, policy, and more, right at your fingertips. VMware Cloud Foundation, the smarter way to cloud.
Okay, thank you, Krish. So let's get started. So there are multiple personas and users we need to help. We have our cloud admin or the IT ops team. Then we also have our platform engineers and our developers. And finally, our IT leaders. So let's start with our cloud admins. We know your infrastructure demands are actually changing quite a bit. And you need to deliver a modern cloud experience to your users. Now, in a modern environment, you spend less time running your infrastructure and keeping the lights on. You actually can focus on innovation. Now, in this audience here, I know many of you have vSphere, some of you have vSphere and vSAN, and even NSX. So we want to make it super simple for you to onboard to the full cloud experience. So William here is going to have an awesome demo for us where he's going to show you some of that experience.
You guys ready to see VCF9 in action? Yeah. All right, let's get started. So we start off with a brand new VMware Cloud Foundation installer, which simplifies the workflow for both creating a brand new private cloud as well as converting from your existing environment. We can convert your existing vSphere as well as your vSAN environment, and to complete this golden trifecta in VCF9 NSX deployments that you have deployed can easily be converted. Automatic pre-checks ensure that your environment's ready for conversion so that there are no surprises. And similarly, we've also streamlined the deployment of both VCF operations as well as automation. Again, we can start converting from your existing deployment, or if you're missing one of the components, we easily help you deploy a brand new instance with minimal input. Again, we want to start with what you have today and give you a golden path to a full VCF experience. While reviewing the summary, you also have the option of downloading your deployment configuration as JSON, enabling you to templatize this for future deployments, as well as source control for compliance purposes.
That's great. So as William has demonstrated here, whether you have just vSphere, vSAN, and NSX, or any individual components of the VCF stack, we make it super simple and easy for you to onboard onto the full stack VCF.
Okay, so now that our private cloud is deployed, ready to go, let's take a look at the brand new VCF Operations Console, which is our unified fleet-level command center for both managing and operating your cloud at scale. No more jumping around to different interfaces to perform these critical day two operations. In fact, let's take a look at some of these new fleet-level operations that's going to be available to you. We finally have true single sign-on within the VCF stack. You can manage common identity not just for your infrastructure team, but also for your end users who may have different authentication requirements. And as you can see here, we have all support for all the latest identity providers. We've unified certificate management across the entire VCF stack. And we've taken that one step further and made this process completely non-disruptive. In my opinion, that's huge. And what that means for operators like yourselves, you can now take your global policies defined by your certificate, by your security and compliance team, and automatically manage that at scale automatically using VCF operations. Configuration compliance continues to be a challenge for many of our users, even in smaller deployments. The ability to track configuration drift from a known golden template and ensure that you have full auditability as well as automatic remediation has been a long-standing ask. And I'm pleased to share that this is now built right into VCF operations. And finally, we continue to bring new innovations and enhancements to our lifecycle management story. You can now effortlessly plan, schedule, and remediate your entire VCF fleet all in one central location. Historically, as you know, you have to do this across many different product interfaces from vCenter, NSX, ARIA, and this exponentially gets more complex as costly with the number of deployments that you have to manage. And using VCF operations, infrastructure teams will actually get time back to deliver more impactful outcomes for your organization. So again, doing more in less time.
So what do you think? Isn't this great? These are some really cool operations capabilities we're offering. So let's switch gears, William. So can you show us how our audience here and our infrastructure and cloud admins can actually deliver infrastructure services, keeping the platform engineering team and the developers in mind, kind of like a slice of the infrastructure pie?
Absolutely. So in creating a brand new workload domain, we've also significantly reduced the amount of input that's needed, but more importantly, we've simplified the ability to enable new platform services, allowing you to present core-rich VCF platform capabilities across compute, storage, and networking as developer-ready services that's available to your end users for consumption.
So you saw that we have infrastructure here, but this is just raw infrastructure. So how do we actually enable the different teams to consume this infrastructure?
I'm glad you asked. We now have native multi-tenancy built right into VCF, allowing you to easily carve out resources to the different lines of businesses with your enterprise or to the different tenants of your cloud service provider. You can see different organizations like IT, sales, finance, and marketing. The organizational construct allows you to express different tiers of services, infrastructure resources, and availability requirements, all natively integrated into the VCF platform.
Okay, so now you see just the overall experience for the cloud admin, how it's actually changing, right? So you can elevate your position as an infrastructure admin, and you can significantly reduce operational burdens. So here are three key items I'd like you to take away. No matter what you have deployed, we make it super easy for you to onboard to a full stack VCF environment. You now have one place to upgrade, manage, and operate your fleet at scale. And finally, you now have an easier way to carve out infrastructure across all of your business teams. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about how we're helping the platform engineers and developers. So what are we really doing to help them consume this infrastructure?
Yeah. So when your platform teams logs into VCF automation for the very first time, you don't see tickets, you don't see raw infrastructure. You see a curated collection of infrastructure services and enterprise application that's available to users at their fingertips, all completely self-serve. Out-of-the-box services include virtual machines, Kubernetes cluster, but it also includes object store, databases, DNS, application load balancers, much, much more, enabling your development teams and platform teams to build and deploy applications just like the public cloud, but with the cost control and security of an enterprise. Let's take a look at the experience of deploying one of these infrastructure services, such as a virtual machine. Using the VCF automation UI, as I make these selections, ready-to-use consume YAMLs automatically generate based on the selections you have on the screen. You can then use this to deploy your resource. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to enable you to provide choice to your end user and the native experiences that they want to choose, whether that's a UI, an API, maybe something more declarative and modern like Kubernetes, such as the example here where I'm using kubectl to apply and create a virtual machine, or even third-party tools such as Ansible, Terraform. We want to enable you to provide that choice to your end users in the native interfaces and consumption that they expect. That's the modern developer experience. And similarly, just like the public cloud, you can model your enterprise application using VCF blueprints, which codifies an entire application of different form factors from virtual machines, containers, databases, and other infrastructure services, allowing you to then publish these version blueprints into a catalog, make them available to your end users. Again, a cloud marketplace experience, but with the controls and security of an enterprise. Custom forms allow you to provide custom deployment options for your end users while still maintaining same defaults based on policies defined by your organization. Users have visibility into costs prior to deployment, and more importantly, as these requests get provisioned, you can also assign, they can all be routed to additional approvals, again, based on policies that you've defined within your organization. Now that our application is deployed, we can see that the source code repository linked to this particular deployment, there are a number of day 2 operations that are completely self-served. And since we've configured networking using our VPC construct earlier, let's make sure that the application is up and running before we continue on.
So wow, in just a few steps, you were able to self-serve and deploy a production-grade workload, all with all the guardrails in place.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. All right, so let's sum up what we saw here in the second demo. So you can serve your developers and your platform engineers, and you can be excited about these three critical things I'm about to go into. So you can offer rich infrastructure services, just like the public cloud. You get curated cloud marketplace, but with enterprise control and security. And you can provide a native consumption experience for your developers and your platform engineers. Okay, we also want to help our IT leaders. We want to empower our IT leaders so they can understand the true business impact of their infrastructure that they're running.
Yeah. So IT executives need a platform to provide intelligent insights across all the managed infrastructure and ensuring that they're always optimized for cost, performance, and security. In this example here, we have VCF operation has identified a number of insights which automatically get bubbled up to operators so you can address the most critical issues at hand. We see in the marketing organization, we have an issue with the lifestyle application, looks to be storage related, and we're gonna go over our projected costs. Now here we have an insight from VCF operations providing a cost optimization opportunity. So let's go take a look because we can save and reduce that cost by $9,000. Not surprisingly, we have a number of unused virtual machine, long-running snapshots consuming storage, and a number of over-provisioned virtual machines. And unfortunately, this is still very common in many environments, but be able to get this level of fleet visibility across your entire fleet is still extremely difficult. VCF operation brings all this together in one central location, provides actionable recommendations that you can either apply them now as an operator, or you can schedule them for remediation at a later point, completely automatically based on policies. We've gone and taken some of those recommendations, and now we've reduced the total operating cost of this application. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to the other application, our wellness application, which has some issues. In this example here, we notice that there's an application SLO violation. Using the new troubleshooting guided workflow as part of VCF operations, we can quickly help operators narrow down and root cause some of these issues that you will see in the environments. So let's go ahead and get started. Relevant metrics are automatically displayed for operators, so you don't need to go searching for that information. In this example here, we see that we're seeing API requests dropping in terms of latency. Because it's networking, we can now easily overlay NetFlow information on top of the discovered application topology, helping you isolate and visualize the different components that's related to this particular problem. And just like going back in time, we can use the intelligent timeline to quickly help us understand when this problem first occurred, and this automatically gets conveyed through the topology view here. And it's clear, we can see that our edge VMs are overrun, high CPU utilization has caused sporadic packet loss. And finally, operators can launch in context pre-built automation runbooks, orchestrator workflows to quickly help remediate these issues.
So this is great. These are some great insights, but how do we bring something similar to security and compliance?
Great. So we have a comprehensive security operations center focused on remediation, auditing, and compliance. In fact, many of these security insights are powered by our VMware Skyline technology, which is now natively integrated into the VCF platform, as mentioned by Paul earlier this morning in the keynote. And with just a few clicks, I can also remediate these CVEs using our ESXi live patching capability. Again, reducing the overall burden when rolling out security fixes at scale and ensuring that you're always in compliance.
So this was the last demo. And in this last demo, we saw how we can empower the IT executives to really get visibility at the fleet level. You can improve your utilization and lower your costs. You get proactive insights. And you can do diagnostics to meet your SLOs. And finally, you get to keep the security teams happy. Great demos, William. So did everyone like that? How do we clap for William? Yes. So let's actually bring it all together. So everyone in the audience, we understand the challenges your teams experience today, and we want to set you all up for all your teams to be successful. For the cloud admin, building, operating, and scaling clouds is much easier. For our platform engineers, you get access to curated infrastructure and application services. And then for the IT leaders, You get visibility into your costs, utilization, as well as compliance requirements. So thanks, William. And William's going to be around in case you have questions for him after the session.
VMware Cloud Foundation is transforming the infrastructure industry by tightly integrating compute, storage, and networking into a resilient cloud operating model. We're enabling you to work smarter and do more than ever before. VMware Cloud Foundation, the smarter way to cloud.
So that was our transition slide, if you didn't guess. So over the past 18 months, we have doubled down on our commitment to truly drive meaningful innovation across our entire portfolio. We are delivering real, measurable outcomes for our customers. So let's explore some key capabilities in our core platform across compute, storage, and networking. So let's start with vSphere and our compute stack. With ESX Live Patching, we've eliminated the needs for reboots and workload evacuations as well. So this allows you to have reduced operational disruptions. vGPU support is designed to meet the current demand of your AI workloads, providing much, much better performance. You can get the latest Kubernetes release with our independent versioning of vSphere Kubernetes. Let's move on to storage innovations now. vSAN brings you best-in-class storage. vSAN ESA introduced a new architecture, delivering up to 4 times the compression. We introduced vSAN Max, our disaggregated storage solution. This takes scalability to new heights, allowing for 7 times the density per host. You will also benefit from backups, improved backups, with 100 times increase in snapshot performance. Now let's talk about our latest innovations in networking. You can create VPCs within minutes without requiring any advanced networking skills. You can bridge traditional VLAN-backed networks to NSX and automatically rewire your workloads to work in your private cloud. Now, DPUs are smart network interfaces that offload network functions, so you have much better network performance. Today, you can actually double the capacity with twice the performance with dual DPU support. Now, everything you've seen here, it's not a vision, it's not the future, it's here today, available for you to leverage. Okay, so let's talk about the future. You've seen the cloud experience through the demos that William did on how things are going to be in VCF9. Now let me show you everything we're building in our core platform, the raw power of VCF9. Now that's a lot, it's a real eye chart here, right? So I'm going to go into it. So let's start with compute. With advanced memory tiering and NVMe enhances system memory management by intelligently moving your cold pages to NVMe storage so that you can have your hot data remain in DRAM. With this, you get 40% server consolidation. Now, we are also taking the hypervisor security to the next level with confidential computing powered by Intel TDX. With this, you can isolate, protect, and encrypt the hypervisor and your workloads to really keep the data secure at all times. Our integrated Kubernetes service now provides out-of-the-box Windows container support, direct network connectivity with VPCs, native OVF support, and many other services. So let's move on to storage now. First up, let's talk about data protection. We now have vSAN to vSAN replication on-prem, And we offer DR from site failures with 1-minute RPOs. With deep snapshots, you get near instantaneous data protection and replications, and all the workflows are integrated into vCenter. With cluster-wide vSAN deduplication, we're able to drive a 46% reduction in cost per terabyte compared to the traditional storage. And finally, let's discuss vSAN ESA stretch site recovery. This feature ensures that you can recover from dual site failures. With stretch cluster architecture, you can not only recover from dual site failures, but also put an entire site into maintenance mode. Okay, let's take a final look at how connectivity and networking evolves in VCF9. VPCs. VPCs are now natively integrated into vCenter and can be seamlessly consumed from VCF automation. We've drastically reduced the time and complexity required to establish secure and isolated networks. NSX Enhanced Data Path gives you 3 times the switching performance. This allows you to meet the demands of modern, high bandwidth, and high throughput applications. Today, we already help you to wire VLANs to NSX. Now, with integrated VPCs, you can transition from VLAN-based networks directly to VPCs. So as you can see, we continue to drive true innovation throughout our product portfolio, including the core. Now with VCF9, our compute, storage, and network capabilities are even better integrated. And there is a heavy emphasis on operations and automation. So to summarize, right, we understand where you all are in your private cloud journey. We understand that you have a journey ahead of you to take you from what you have today to the future cloud experience. And we are fully committed in partnering with you on this journey. So before I hand it off to Krish, let's hear from a customer that is leveraging the true benefits of VMware Cloud Foundation.
Charlotte Pipe and Foundry is a cast iron and PVC manufacturer of pipes and fittings. We currently have 7 plants spread throughout the United States. So more than likely, Charlotte Pipe and Foundry products are in your home or business. To be a leader in our industry, we have to be constantly innovating and focusing on digital transformation. And part of that process is to be able to arm our sales team with the tools they need, collecting data and feeding that into AI and machine learning models in order to determine what the best course of action is to take on various products that we manufacture. VMware Cloud Foundation lays that groundwork. It allows us to automate a lot of the processes within maintaining that environment. NSX is the networking component. It allows microsegmentation between VMs to improve that security. So we've seen probably a 50% improvement in the amount of time it takes to do upgrades with VCF. One of the reasons we trust VMware is we've looked at other products and tried other products. And overall, VMware has always proved to be stable, easy to manage, integrates with all the vendors that we use, to lay the foundation with various products that enable us to move workloads to the cloud. I'm really excited for what we've been able to do at Charlotte Pipe and Foundry, and I believe that what we've accomplished over the last 2 or 3 years has really set us up for the future.
What a great story. Let's welcome back Krish.
Hey,
Thank you,
great
Krish.
job, Anu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so by the way, we have the customer you saw on screen here, Rodney Barnhart. Please stand up and let's give him a good. All right, so now let's talk about advanced services. You have the foundation, And on top of that, you build these various services. And these services are optional services you can add to simplify your operations or enable your consumption of the infrastructure. Hawk usually has very colorful language about these things. So today morning he said, this is like the Taj Mahal, and you put chairs in the Taj Mahal. And so I was trying to figure that one out, but these advanced services are the chairs. Okay. Anyway, so I want to focus on a couple of these. We have a plethora of these services, but the ones I want to focus on first is the disaster recovery and advanced security. So you all know from years of working with vSphere, we have spent a lot of time and energy actually hardening the ESX kernel and the operating environment. And over the years with NSX, now that we have visibility into the networking and the activities in the network, we have this advanced threat protection solution that uses AI techniques to figure out malicious actors getting there and doing things which are abnormal. And once we detect it, you can actually alert as well as stop it. And then so that solution has been available for a while. Now, even with all of those kind of protections, you still end up getting compromised because somebody stole the credentials of an admin or whatever. And so what I want to talk about is the solution that we have, which is pretty unique and differentiated in the industry, that allows you to recover rapidly if your environment gets compromised. And that solution, it makes the VCF platform the most cyber resilient platform in the industry. And it's the solution is VLR, which is the VMware Live Recovery Solution. And what it does is it enables you to have your disaster recovery from on-prem to on-prem, on-prem to various hyperscalers, and built in that, for instance, with our AWS solution, we have ransomware recovery. So you can detect on your snapshot whether there is malicious activity in the snapshot using AI techniques. And then once you find the clean version, then you can bring it up, rehydrate it in AWS. Hopefully that is an isolated environment from your on-prem data center. And then after running further tests, you can even run it in production in AWS on top of the VMware infrastructure, or you can move it back and rapidly fail over to the data center. And we do that 75% faster than other solutions that are out there. And more recently, we just enabled vSAN snapshots and some improvements in that area, which provides you with 16x improvement in the failure time. So continuing to innovate there, this is an area where customers have been really interested in, given everything that is going on with the ransomware. And so I encourage you to take a look at that. Now, the next solution I want to talk about is private AI. So you heard that today in the main stage. So private AI, this is, by the way, this is the latest solution. It was just released 3 months ago, and it's getting, of all the services we have, this is getting the most interest for obvious reasons. And so, so I want to talk a little bit more about this. At the core of this strategy is a strategic partnership we have with NVIDIA. And so this partnership was launched 4 or 5 years ago. For those of you who are our customers from the past, if you have attended Explore, we have talked about this partnership. And what we have done is both companies have started working together at the engineering level to really deliver the solution. And throughout that time, my counterpart in NVIDIA, who is the head of enterprise computing, has been working closely with us to really make every enterprise adopt AI based on VCF. And so that journey continues, and I'm thrilled to have Manivir Das, who is the NVIDIA's head of enterprise computing, join me here on stage. Manivir, please come on up. Hey, Manivir.
Thank you, Krish.
Great to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming. You know, the last time when Jensen was on stage last year, he actually had a bag.
Yeah.
And he had some GPUs. And
I don't have a leather jacket and I don't have GPUs, but
yeah,
I do software. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So no leather jackets either. But so last time, I mean, seriously, Raghu and Jensen announced our joint solution, and this is the joint solution that we announced that you can see up there. And since then, and that was in the formative stages when they announced it, and since then we have delivered it, and it is now GA and available to all the customers. I think it's like 2 months since it has been out there, and we are seeing huge traction there. And maybe, Manuvir, you can talk a little bit about the work that we did together as both companies to deliver.
Yeah, I remember our first meeting, Krish. It was more than 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, obviously at NVIDIA, we believed in AI for some time. But back then, it was really data scientists in some part of a company doing the work. And we said to ourselves, there's going to be a day where AI is going to be the new workload in enterprise. And we don't know exactly how it's going to look and when that's going to happen, but we know that day is going to come. And we had a very simple way of looking at this. We asked ourselves the question, what is the operating system of the enterprise? And the operating system of the enterprise is VMware and vSphere. And so should it not be the case that the next big application that is adopted be on that operating system, right, that everybody's familiar with? And that's why we began the work, because it requires years of effort, because on your side, you had to do all the plumbing to make sure that the hardware capabilities we need for AI were well supported by your stack. And on our side, we had to make sure that these AI workloads that people just believed had to run bare metal, we just had to show that that's not the case. And these can run really well virtualized. And so I know you did a lot of work on our end. We basically had to create a second engineering effort where everything we would do, we would test, we would validate, we would build on bare metal, right? And we took on the work to do this all virtualized on your platform, right? And so we were fortunate that we did all this work, because back then, honestly, we did not know ChatGPT was going to happen.
Yes.
I don't think anybody did. And it happened. And so now we're in this whole new world. And together, we actually have this platform that IT can adopt and deploy as the next platform in enterprise, right? And as you said, it actually got built.
Yep.
And here we are.
Yeah, and you know, you saw earlier today in the main session the performance that we are delivering, and in many cases it actually performs better than bare metal using NVIDIA's own benchmarks. And then we took the entire NVIDIA software stack for AI, and it's completely integrated. So it's like a turnkey solution that customers can deploy on top of VCF and really get, you know, fast time to value. So that was the focus of this particular.
You know, I just remembered, Krish, that, you know, all the NVIDIA software, as you said, we have this thing called NVIDIA AI Enterprise, which is our commercial product. It's the only thing we have. And that journey actually began with you.
Yep.
The reason we created NVIDIA AI Enterprise was because of the work we were doing together. Version 1 of NVIDIA AI Enterprise, all it ran on was vSphere, right? And then so we went from there.
Yeah, so with the advent of you know, LLMs and generative AI, you know, we both claim that we were visionaries. We started this work, you know, a couple of years before that, but we had no clue that it was actually going to explode like this. Yeah. Nobody did, but yeah, so now we are seeing a huge momentum with this. Hundreds of customers are actually in the process of deploying it and working with us on it. Maybe you could touch on why customers are looking at a solution like this, and what are some of the use cases that you see prevalent there?
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting, Krish, because a lot of this work obviously started in the cloud. You know, OpenAI really showed the world what is possible with ChatGPT. It's what they've done is amazing. The company is amazing. But as we work with more and more enterprise customers, right, there needs to be a little bit of choice, because how can I do this in my own environment, right? And so I think the realization we came to is that for IT, for enterprise IT, there's a new platform to deploy. Just like there was database and virtualization, the new platform is you're going to build hundreds of use cases for Gen AI in your company. How do you avoid reinventing the wheel? How do you provide all the developers in your company one platform on which you can develop one use case after another. You can write one RAG after another, a place where you can serve models efficiently, all of that, right? And so that's the demand that we've really seen, right? And that's why we've been working with you and with the OEMs who build the hardware systems and such.
And one of the things that customers really like about this is the private and private AI. And what we mean by private is really keeping your data private and bringing the AI processing to where the data is. And if you think about our definition of the private cloud, we said, hey, you can have the VCF platform run in any location, right, including hyperscalers, on-prem, and so forth. And so that's the ideal solution for actually bringing the processing to where your data is sitting. And so that's the other reason.
Yeah, and that's the other alignment, Krish, because you talked about VCF being everywhere. And NVIDIA, we think the same way. We let customers choose where they want to do their work. And our platforms, our hardware and software work everywhere. So I think that's a beautiful thing here, because what you're doing with VCF, it just makes that available everywhere, right? So this is not about on-prem versus cloud. This is about private versus public, right? Yeah.
And then, you just made today a big announcement.
Yeah, that's right.
You want to talk about that and how it...
it's fascinating because, as you said, Jensen and Raghu were here a year ago, right, when we announced that we're working on private AI together. And the world is completely different than it was a year ago. And the reason is the following, because a year ago, you had these AI models for Gen AI, open models. They were just not good enough. And in the last year, there's been so much innovation on the models that has completely changed. You can build real use cases in your companies based on these open models that are available, Llama from Meta, Mistral, Mixtral, and such that work really well. And so what happened was, we went through a few clicks already in this year. And the first thing we realized was that anybody building an AI application, you need to keep up with the state of the art of models, because models are getting better every day, they're getting smaller, they have different capabilities. And so that's why we created this software from NVIDIA called NIM, NVIDIA Inference Microservices. And this came after our partnership began, right? And Jensen announced this at GTC, and we've seen widespread adoption of this, which is basically, if you're a developer, don't worry about how to get the best model, how to deploy it, all of that. Just use the NIM, and you'll get all of that automatically. And obviously, our teams have worked together to get the NIMs integrated in the platform, right? So if you're a VCF shop, you can just run NIMs very effectively. But then the next click on that was, if you think about what is actually the life cycle, if you,
go back.
If you just think about what is unique about an AI application that is different from every other application that's been done in an enterprise to date. Here's the difference, okay? When you run an AI application, it interacts with a human. And it's not going to be perfect, right? We know that. Most of the time it's going to be right, and sometimes it's going to produce a wrong answer or something you didn't want. And so as the application interacts with its users, you're generating really valuable data about how the AI is working. And so what needs to happen is that data, it's called reinforcement learning, needs to be fed back to train the model and make the model better, to fine-tune the model. So now the next day you have a better model, and so your application runs better. And so more people are going to use it successfully, it's going to generate more data, and so you have this virtuous cycle, the data flywheel. That's really what's shown in that picture. And so we had all the pieces for it, but what was missing was, how do I get started with my use cases? As an application developer coming into AI, how do I build my first use case? And so we created these things called blueprints. These are NIM agent blueprints. That's what we announced today. Obviously, VMware is a launch partner for us, and we've done the work to make sure that if you've adopted VCF, you're ready to go. These blueprints all run, and there's a rich roadmap of these blueprints that will keep coming. I've shown you here, we have on this slide, the 3 blueprints we've launched with this morning, because they cover a spectrum. The one in the middle, extracting data from your PDF files, charts, images, etc., so you can talk to your PDFs. That applies to every company on the planet, right? So that's as broad as you get. The one on the left-hand side, digital humans, you've got any kind of information retrieval workflow, you're dealing with customers, you can put an avatar in front of it. So instead of the customer talking to a screen, the customer is talking to a real agent, and the agent is speaking back to them. And this is all the graphics and AI technology of NVIDIA that's gone into that. And then on the right-hand side is one example of a really vertical use case from healthcare, drug discovery, because you're going to see in every domain that a company is in, they're going to be very specific use cases. So that's why we launched with these three. So really excited about this to really democratize AI.
Yeah, and thank you for us being the first one, and we are together on stage the day this was announced. Yeah. And we continue to innovate, by the way, on the foundation below this. And we are providing the model store, as you heard this morning, a GPU reservation, capacity planning, all the rest. So continued innovation on the foundation. So with that, hey, thanks a lot for the partnership. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. And
5 more years.
Yes,
right?
5 more years.
Thank you,
ongoing journey. All right. So great partnership. It's one of the best partnerships that we have in the industry, and we continue to look forward to it. So.
VMware Cloud Foundation is the platform upon which you can build towards any future. It provides the flexibility and agility you value from the cloud, with the performance and security you need, so you can innovate faster. VMware Cloud Foundation, the smarter way to cloud.
Yeah, so we talked about making you all successful with VCF. That is a big focus for us, because it's not about just giving you the software, it's really helping you implement it, deploy a private cloud. And so we have a plethora of new offerings and services that support you in this journey, starting with the cloud maturity assessment, because all of you are in different parts of the cloud journey. And so you see at the right-hand side, there is an email below, the cmm@broadcom.com. And that's actually William's email. So the challenge to you is to inundate his email account with the request for assessment. And he promises me that he is going to keep up with it. So let's, yeah, so that's, take the assessment, because it's really, it'll map out where you are and what steps you need to take to a full public cloud. We have a Jumpstart program that is actually included in the SKU for VCF. So you get that with the software, and that will be our PS team sitting down with you and helping you figure out what to do next. And then we have VCF certification. And by the way, the learning and training is now included in the SKU. So you don't have to pay for learning anymore. It comes as part of the package. The other big thing that Hawk has actually changed is that services used to be a profit thing in VMware. It is now no longer a profit thing. It's done at cost by Broadcom. So all of these changes are really set up for you to consume and make you successful in deploying the private cloud. And so we talked about transforming VMware. Our organization is significantly different. That's why the product is going to be different. We talked about transforming the experience, and then transforming the infrastructure itself underneath, modernizing your infrastructure. And now to the most important part that you have all been waiting for, which is about the shoes. So you can get another ticket on the way out if you haven't gotten it already. And then here are the times where the drawings will be done, so that you can go get the shoes. I'm not a high top shoe person, but whatever works. And so here are 3 recommended sessions that you should attend, which is very related to what we just discussed. So I would take out your phones and maybe get the QR code. But please see if you can go attend these sessions, because it's very related to what we talked about. So with that, thank you for all the feedback. It's your feedback that is honing our strategy and getting us to success. So keep the feedback coming, and look forward to continued success together. Thank you very much.